Laura here with Gypsyfae Creations. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am back with another holiday themed soap, and I'm going to be utilizing my PVC pipes that I've turned into molds here. The plan is to make a Christmas bulb or like a Christmas ornament embed to go into a loaf that's going to look like a Christmas tree. So the first step is to whip up these oils and make the Christmas ornaments that are going inside of my soap that I'll make tomorrow. I have all my oils here that I've melted down the day before. They're left at room temperature. I've added my kaolin clay and my coconut milk powder. I'm going to mix in my lye solution that has some sodium lactate and some Tessa silk in there. We'll give this a mix, and this is the easiest part. I'm going to start off by splitting off a little bit of an accent color, and by color I mean shade. I am going to be doing this Christmas bulb in red. The main red, I am going to use a brick dust that is by Nurtures, and then in this little bucket I had a little bit of my red obsession that I mixed up into some of my oils. And so that'll be the accent color in this brick dust color. And then I'm also going to put in some star embeds or column molds into the soap as well to do a little design on the inside. And so those are made out of melt and pour, and I have them off to the side in gold. So let's give this a mix, and we'll add our fragrance. I've mixed in my fragrance, which is an apple and balsam pine fragrance by Wholesale Supplies Plus or Crafter's Choice. A little bit of that goes a long way, and I thought it just went really well with the reds and the greens and the Christmassy tree theme going on. I'm going to do an in the pot swirl. It seems to be a very well-behaved fragrance. It has slowed down my trace here, and that's given me plenty of time to work. It might even be a little too liquidy now, but that is okay. So I'm going to set this off to the side and get my PVC pipes. I'm going to start by placing my star columns inside of here. Let's see. Moving this all around even though I've already set it all up. Alright, so they're a little longer, which is fine because it'll be great for gripping. So we'll try and get that centered as much as I can in there. I'm going to hold that in place and just pour around until this is filled. Hopefully I'll be able to let go then. Alright, there's one. There is going to be some leftover soap batter here. Please stay. And I'm going to throw that into some cupcake liners. Some silicone cupcake liners, and do a couple Christmassy cupcakes as well. See if I can do this and not mess up the other one there. And then I'm going to let these sit for 24 hours. I'll come back the next day and unmold them and make the rest of the soap. There we go. So back for day 2, and the plan is to make the base part of the soap look like a Christmas tree and embed these ornaments that I made inside of the soap. So I have my second batch of oils here that have the coconut milk powder and the kaolin clay in them as well, and my lye solution that has my sodium lactate and Tessa silk. So same exact ingredients that are in those Christmas ornaments that I made previously. I also have some soapy shreds here. These are in white. I'm going to put them in the batter once it's all mixed together to either look like snow or look like Christmas lights. You can look at it either way. It could be either one of those things. So I'm also going to be doing 2 different color greens, or 2 different shades of green in the soap. The base is going to be a different shade from the icing. So that is the plan, to make it look like these Christmas ornaments are sitting inside of a Christmas tree. So let's mix all this together. I'm going to go ahead and put in the coloring in there. I have two different greens here. I have an alpine green and a celadon green. One's a little darker than the other. I think I'm going to put the darker green into the base and then use the celadon as the Christmas tree top on there. So I'll go ahead and add that and mix it in. And then I'm also going to add in my fragrance, which is the same apple and balsam that I used in the first half of the soap. So I got my molds over here and ready to go, and I'm going to pour in a little layer of this, let that set up, got all those bubbles, come on now, and then I'll place those ornament embeds in there so that they don't sink to the bottom. And then I added those soapy shreds in there and chop them up a little bit because I really want them to look like some glistening snow or some glittering lights. So I'm hoping that, you know, they're a little more fine inside of that. So we'll wait for this to sit, and I'm going to spray these with some rubbing alcohol so that everything adheres to them, and we'll finish making the rest of the soap. Alright, let's see if I can get these gracefully in here. Again, with these soap shreds, I think you can probably use any color as far as the soap shreds go. I did white again for snow or lights, but I'm thinking if you did multicolored ones or even just yellow ones. I am a fan of white lights over any other kind of Christmas light. I don't really like the multicolored ones at all, but you know, it's a personal thing. That's why I did the white to go either way. So let's get the rest of this batter on here. This is looking really good so far. And then I'm going to get the top of it together so we can ice on some pointy tops to make it look like a Christmas tree. I have got some star embeds to put on top of this, and then you guys have seen me use the white bursting beads before and the pink peppercorns, but these are also going to go on top of this soap as well. Let me get this all scraped out of here. Alright, last but not least is to get the soapy icing on here. So I've got this is a Carolyn Crumb 1M tip, and just my normal piping to create some little triangles on top to be the point of the tree. And it's going to be really pretty. I think this is going to be one of my favorite soaps this season, if it all turns out. I'm going to count my chickens before they hatch. But I'm just loving this concept so far. So last video, I think I left off, I was talking about Gettysburg and our 3-day trip. And even though it was 3 days, we did a lot, and I couldn't talk about it all because so much that we squeezed into these 3 days. So I think I covered everything on the first day and talked about like the ghost tour and stuff. So like the second and third day, we visited Cemetery Ridge, which is one of the first places that we drive by when we were entering the town. And it's a field, it's part of the battlegrounds, and it's one of the many ridges that was used in the 3-day battle. So there's a lot of monuments and cannons and just signs lining and dotting everything to tell you who was where and what and when and why. So there's a lot of walking and just looking around and reading things, and it was a beautiful, beautiful fall day. Started out that way, anywho. Again, with the rain, it started up, but we got some nice pictures in and did a little bit of walking, and the rain wasn't that awful. I mean, we dealt with it. After that, the visitor center was pretty much right down the street, so we had to make a visit there, and it's a museum. They have a movie, which is narrated by Morgan Freeman, that gives you a little background on the battle. And then they have this thing called a cyclorama, which was the coolest part of the whole entire journey. and the trip that, you know, we did a lot on. I keep saying that. We did a lot of stuff on this trip, but this was the coolest part. So when you walk into it, it is a giant painting. A French artist in the late 1880s took this giant canvas and just connected them all, and he painted the Battle of Pickett's Charge on this canvas, and it was pretty amazing. It really felt like you were in the middle of the battle, in the field, just seeing all of it. It was surrounding the whole entire room. It was 377 feet around. I think I got that right. 42 feet high. And again, it just depicted a day, I think it was day 3 of the battle. And it lit up, and there was just a whole bunch of sound effects that went around with it, and it was really emotional. But it's just so cool that it was built in the 1800s, and they used that back then because obviously they didn't have movies, and it was a form of entertainment, like going to the theater. You would pay tickets to go in and see this surround sound painting, which is really cool. Alright, let me fill my icing bag here. So when we were done there and it was still raining, we took a little walk or stroll around the National Cemetery of Gettysburg, and it's where a lot of the remains of all the soldiers from both sides were buried, all the casualties that, you know, they had buried in unmarked graves, a lot of them. Some of them were dug back up, and this whole entire part of this battlefield was dedicated to the casualties of both sides. And so we just walked around that a little bit. It was very spooky walking around a cemetery. It was probably about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and again, it was just rainy and miserable outside, but it really lent to the feel of walking around a cemetery. Call me weird. I enjoyed it. But I took some pictures of all the beautiful monuments, and they just had all these beautiful trees and plants that were labeled, and different kinds of graves, from, you know, newer graves to older graves. And that was, you had to do it. If you go there, you have to walk around the cemetery. I'm not saying doing it in the rain. And then we ended our night. We had to dry off. We went to a place called the Dobbin's House, or the Spring House Tavern is what is in the basement part of it. We got some hot buttered rums and some hot spiced apple toddies to warm up to. In the basement is the Spring House Tavern, because there are natural water, like spring taverns, in the basement of this house that was originally built in 1774, and it's just a nice little ambiance to go down there with the candles, and it's just a lot of the original walls and ceilings, and it's just really cool to sit down there and eat. So if you ever go to Gettysburg, you gotta stop there, get their French onion soup. Alright, I got a little bit more icing here, so I'll just go back over and add some dollops to the top of this. The final day of our stay, we went horseback riding. The horseback riding was supposed to happen on the second day, but with all the rain, it got canceled, and we had to reschedule it for the following day. We also stopped at a place called Mr. Ed's Elephant Museum and Candy Emporium, if you like candy from any year, all the different pezzes, any different flavors, you name it. They've got every kind of candy you can possibly think of that you could ever find. And then of course it's all about the elephants. The owner collected elephants, and there's just elephant stuff everywhere. Like the most amount of elephant tchotchkes and vases and figurines and elephant themed everything everywhere. So helped myself to some candy and took a little stroll around the grounds there. They're really decorated with some weird things hanging around everywhere. And yeah, the horseback riding was a 2-hour horseback tour through the battlegrounds, and there's a lot of history and stories. Kind of hard to pay attention when you're trying to make sure your horse isn't going to throw you off or not listen. So I struggled a little bit with that. I mean, I've probably rode horses a handful of times, but it still like makes me nervous that I'm on this huge animal trying to listen to the stories and history. It's like, I don't think I listened very much in school. And here I'm on a horse trying to pay attention. But you learn about all of the ridges. Again, there were so many ridges. Like, the ridges were really put to use in these battles, in this 3-day battle of Gettysburg. Yeah, what else? So it was just like being on a horse in the middle of a battlefield in real life, just like the soldiers would have been using transportation of horses on the battlefields. And the battlefields that we got to see were like parts that most of the main population or visitors or tourists wouldn't actually have gotten to see. So it was nice to actually do that. Alright, and I still have some icing left over. You guys know I had leftover batter and I made up some little cupcakes. And so I will put some of that icing on the cupcakes and just make them match this. But I'm going to go ahead and add on some of these white bursting beads from Brambleberry, my pink peppercorns that I bought at the Renaissance Festival, and of course some glitter. I'll give it a spray with the rubbing alcohol, probably before I add the peppercorns, because I learned my lesson about those bleeding color onto the soap and we don't want that. Look, this now looks like snow. I love these little white bursting beads. Alright, I'll let this sit for 24 hours and I'll bring you guys back to cut it so we can take a look at the inside. Alright, let's cut into this and see if the inside turned out as magical as I wanted it to. I'm going to be very, very careful when cutting this because of that melt and pour star embed that is in there. So far, this is so cute, you guys. Oh my goodness, this is so cute. I think this is my favorite. I wanted that green to be a little bit darker, but I'm not going to cry over it. I will definitely be doing this soap like every year and changing it up a little bit, but next time I think I'm going to go a little darker on it. Hello, you are adorable. I love it. Tell me that isn't the cutest thing ever. That turned out so cool. It smells really good, of course. Why wouldn't it? I am so excited for the holidays this year, and I think I've nailed a lot of the holiday soaps that I wanted to do. I know last year I was in like this weird rut and just couldn't get into the holiday spirit or come up with a whole bunch of holiday soaps and just kind of threw some together. I don't know if I just couldn't get into the Christmas spirit. This year it's not even November yet. October's not even past and I'm already thinking about Christmas shopping and playing Christmas music and I am ready. So lots of fun Christmas soaps to come out this year. Oh my goodness. And they're a little tall, but that is awesome. I think they turned out really great, you guys. I love it so much. I don't know. I think it's my favorite out of all of the soaps I've done. Well, it will be available on the November 22nd shop update. So if you want to get one, they'll make great stocking stuffers. I'm just saying. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Any questions or comments, you can leave them for me in the comment section down below. And until next time, I hope you guys have a very nice day. And I'll smell you later.
Union artillery.